Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists out of pointless things. Why are we flying by this pointless statue in Booty Bay? Because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 are the Thousand Needle Tornadoes, and I guess they're not even technically tornadoes because they're on water, but I looked it up and a water spout is what it is called. A tornado that is on water is called a water spout. It is a whirling column of air and water mist. Water spouts fall into two categories. You have your fair weather water spouts, which I just picture it wearing like a Golden State Warrior hat, and then a tornadic water spout. They are tornadoes that form over water or move from land to water. So, there you go. A little tornado fact for you, but pretty neat. I like these. They're not the craziest tornadoes. I do always think it's weird that Thousand Needles is underwater, even though it's been underwater for so long now, but still. You got these water spouts, they're having a great time. They're just, by the turtles. They're by the Mario and Luigi Tarin. And, it's great. That's number 10. 9. Number 9 is Cyclaris, who's an air elemental located in the Eye of the Vortex in Darkshore. And this is the BFA Darkshore, not the, old Darkshore. And he's just a big tornado guy that's got a bunch of, people summoning him. And, he looks pretty cool. He's got, like, lightning in him and dust coming up. Like, he's actually pretty sick. I almost put him up higher on the list, but there's a lot of good options on this list. And I think, some of the higher up ones have a bit more depth to them besides just, big boss from BFA, essentially. He almost, his head looks a little weird. It almost looks like a Hey Arnold character, You know how goofy Hey Arnold characters used to look? Like, his head just gives me that vibe of, like, he could have been one of Hey Arnold's friends. If he was a human, not a tornado. But he still looks pretty neat. So he's number 9. 8. Number 8 are the Tanaris tornadoes. And much like how the water tornadoes aren't just called water tornadoes, these are called either sand vortexes or dust devils are the actual terminologies I found. And apparently, according to weather.gov, it is actually called a dust devil. I didn't realize a dust devil was like an actual term. I thought it was just, something people made up. Like, there goes dust devil. You know what I'm saying? So, the main reason I picked these isn't just because of, like, they look cool. Because they do look cool, right? It's because I was searching for tornadoes for this video. And I came across this one in Tanaris. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then I saw there was footprints. And someone on Reddit posted a tornado that leaves footprints. And it turns out the footprints are due to Vanilla WoW implementing things like invisible rabbits to help the tornadoes actually move along. So that's crazy. I didn't even realize there's so many, I guess, invisible things like invisible rabbits, invisible infernals, invisible whatever, essentially kind of, being the point of connection. I guess. Listen, I'm not a game designer. I don't know. Is acting like the invisible thing to guide it along instead of having, to build it from scratch, I guess. Is that right? Listen, I'm trying to sound smart while not sounding smart while reading the internet. That's essentially what 80% of the internet is anyway. Maybe even more, probably like 95% of the internet. Either way, I think these are really cool. They're really interesting. And they're number 8. 7. Number 7 is the tornado in Westfall, which is called the Raging Chasm. It is a large sinkhole created by the cataclysm in the western part of Westfall. A huge beam of energy rises into the sky, surrounded by whirling trees and chunks of earth. The crater is populated by chasm slimes. This is coming from Wowpedia. The chasm is still active as of the end of the Fourth War. The reason I put it at number 7, right, is it doesn't feel like a true tornado. You know what I mean? It's like a beam of energy. Is that really a tornado, though? But it does have tornadoes nearby. As you can see here, there is a tornado nearby. So, I mean, it does have that going for it. It is a very prominent area in Westfall. So, I mean, a lot of people have seen this. Even people that only play WoW to, like, level 20 have obviously ran into the Westfall Cataclysm, Raging Chasm area. But I didn't put it higher up on the list because of that reason. I mean, it's like, to me, it doesn't feel like it has that true tornado power. Well, actually, I guess it has the power of a tornado, but it doesn't have the true characteristics of the tornado. You know, that kind of swirling wind storm type thing. It's kind of just, it's kind of going a little too slow for me. Like, I think this would be higher up on the list if it was spinning real fast. If it had, like, you know, there was, like, buzzards and, like, animals and shit caught up in there. Not just trees and rocks. Like, it's got a building up in there. You know what I mean? I want, like, so much stuff caught up in that light beam that it just ripped apart Westfall. And maybe I'm going a little too harsh on it. You know what I mean? But that's just how it is for me. And so, but I still put it at number 7 because I do think it's still a very prominent kind of notable. I kept trying to say notoriety. Isn't that just like like paper? Hold on. Notoriety. The state of being famous or well known. Well, I guess that's, yeah, it's notorious. Why did I think of that? Whatever. Okay, it's number 7. 6. Number 6 is Tito, a wolf pet that is from Karazhan that you get from doing an achievement for collecting pets in Karazhan and the Serpent Shrine Caverns for whatever reason. But the main thing about Tito is that he has a tornado that flies in and takes him away. It doesn't actually take him away, it just shoots him up into the sky and then he falls back down. But still, look at that. And then this tornado, unlike the Westfall one, it actually does have a giant building as well as cows that are in there swirling around. Which to me, top tier. I love it. And obviously Tito is a reference to Toto, the dog in Wizard of Oz. So, you know, a little bit of a Wizard of Oz reference there. But overall, I think I put Tito here because at number 6, he's just a really unique pet that has that tornado ability. The tornado itself that comes in to take him away and fling him up into the air is actually a really cool tornado. And so it's just a nice little combo, right? And it's referencing the Wizard of Oz, which is also a big, you know, it's got a massive tornado. Maybe one of the most popular tornadoes in movie history. So that's why he's number 6. 5. Number 5 is the Eye of the Vortex in Darkshore, which is this massive tornado in Darkshore, and it's actually got some cool lore behind it. So the Eye of the Vortex was the epicenter of the massive storm threatening to tear apart Darkshore after the cataclysm. Twilight's Hammer agents flew near the top of the vortex and kept the storm from dissipating. And using every ounce of his power, the newly reawakened Malfurion Storm Rage attempted to stabilize the storm, managing to prevent it from shattering Darkshore and sweeping the region away into the ocean. With the help of Elder Brownpaw, Selene, Arum, and Thessera, they were able to stop Twilight's Hammer, the Twilight Hammer, from making this storm essentially just destroy the entirety of Darkshore, which is insane. I didn't know that. I mean, you fly over this all the time, and you're like, oh, cool, it's like this really big tornado spinning around, but you don't realize that without Malfurion, this thing was going to just take the entire region of Darkshore and just, like, throw it out into the ocean. The same way, I guess, like, the Pangea happened. I don't know. But either way, this is a crazy tornado, and just, I think the sheer power of it, you know what I mean? Having the ability to destroy an entire zone is what made me put this so high up on the list, in addition to it just being a crazy big tornado. So that's why it's number 5. 4. Number 4 are these tornadoes and water spouts in the new Dragonflight zone, the Waking Shores, that I keep calling the Walking Shores for some reason. But these are just really cool. There's a bunch of tornadoes, there's a bunch of water spouts. It's just a big cyclone area, essentially. And I'm favoring this a little bit because it's new, all right? That might have been why it's higher up on the list. But I still think it's pretty fun, especially because in this area, you're able to lure the mobs and the murlocs and stuff like that into the vortexes, and they go like, woo, and they go fly off and whatever. And, you know, the same can also happen to you, which is fantastic. I got one point where I kept getting this murloc into a vortex, and it just happened like 5 times in a row, because I think they just timed everything perfectly. But besides that, it's just, you know, it's a fun little area. And it's got a bunch of tornadoes and water vortexes, which are, you know, tornadoes. That's why it's number 4. Number 3 are the mana forges of Netherstorm that are essentially creating these tornadoes from harvesting the twisting nether up in the sky. And it looks really cool. You know, it's one of the reasons I think a lot of people love Netherstorm, is just looking at how crazy it is when you go up to the sky, there's like this purple pink, energy kind of being swirled around and sucked into this mana forge. And I think it's awesome. And it's one of the reasons I put this up so high. It's very unconventional in terms of World of Warcraft stuff. Which is funny because earlier I'm like, this thing isn't conventional enough. And now I'm like, this thing's very unconventional. Listen, this is a pointless top 10 list. There is no meaning to this list. We've had people in the past be like, oh, this list doesn't make any sense. Well, yeah, it's a pointless list. All lists are pointless. And this is just my dumb, pointless list that it has absolutely no meaning. If you want to make a list, you make a list. All right. Anyway, they're really cool. And I was reading a bit about them. And one thing I read was the Blood Elves controlled 4 of the 5 mana forges as Ultris was taken over by Voidwalkers along with the mine beneath it after it overloaded and exploded. I think that'd be really crazy to see one of those explode and like how much purple pink energy would just go all over the place and just, I don't know what would happen. But either way, according to Exarch Aurelius, mana forges are a form of energy recharger which was never designed to be used so close to land. This use was ripping Netherstorm apart and accelerating its deterioration. Much like us with the Earth. And that's number 3. Number 2 is Alakir the Windlord, and it says it right in his name. This dude is literally the Lord of Wind. How could he not be high up on this list? He is essentially the Lord of Tornadoes, when you really just break it down. So, Alakir the Windlord was the elemental Lord of Air. He ruled over his domain of Skywall from his seat at the Throne of Four Winds. Of all the elemental lords, Alakir was known to be the cleverest and was once the foremost tactician in the Old Gods' horrific armies. Aligned with the corrupted dragon aspect Deathwing and his fellow elemental lord Ragnaros in their efforts to usher the end of days, Alakir was defeated by us, who were able to enter Skywall from the breach in Uldum and destroy the Windlord within his own sanctum. Which, that's great and all, but the main fact here is that this dude is a tornado god. He is a literal tornado god, and I don't know how I could not put him way up on this list. You know what I mean? Like, he was a boss, he drops a mount, which I have. It only took about 60 tries, which was actually pretty good. So, I mean, he has to be up here, right? I thought of putting him at like 4 or 5, and I was like, you know what? No, he needs to be at least in the top 2. 1 or 2, but this next thing I thought was just the best tornado thing in World of Warcraft. And so, Alakir's number 2, but here's number 1. And number 1 are all the tornadoes from the Primal Storm Primalist Invasions event from the Dragonflight pre-patch, which was amazing to see because this wasn't even going to be on the list, and then it happened during the gathering of a top 10 list for this video, and it was just amazing because you had all these tornadoes, you had this big elemental tornado boss summoning tornadoes, you had the sky turn dark and thunder and lightning are happening, and everybody's coming together, right? This is what World of Warcraft's all about. Everybody's coming together, there's all these players here, and they're all fighting this big air elemental tornado boss as tornadoes are shooting out and going all over. And it was just fantastic. And I was like, this is what WoW's all about. I have to put this at number 1. And that's why this is number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Pointless Top 10. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share it to everybody you know, and check out these other Pointless Top 10s if you haven't seen the most recent ones. Okay? Okay. See ya!